Hi guys, Aunt Ashley here again with our book for the week. And maybe I'll end up doing 2 books this week because I had 2 requests. But right now we are going to do Katy No-Pockets. This is another one of our family favorites. Big tears rolled down Katy Kangaroo's brown face. Poor Katy was crying because she didn't have a pocket like the other mama kangaroos. Freddie was Katy Kangaroo's little boy, and he needed a pocket to ride in. All grown-up kangaroos take awful big hops, and little kangaroos like Freddie get left far behind unless their mothers have a nice pocket to carry them in. And poor Katy didn't have any pockets at all. So there's Katy and Freddie. She's crying, poor thing. Katy Kangaroo cried just thinking about it, and Freddie cried too. Then all of a sudden, Katy had a wonderful idea. It was so wonderful, she jumped 6 feet up in the air. The idea was this: other animal mothers had children and they didn't have any pockets. She'd go and ask one of them how they carried their babies. Freddie looked all around to see whom to ask, and Katy looked all around to see too. And what they both saw were 2 bubbles rising up from the river right beside them. "Mrs. Crocodile," said Katy, feeling lots better already. "She hasn't any pockets. Let's ask her." A lot of big muddy bubbles came up through the water, and so there they are looking. And there's Mrs. Crocodile. Then Mrs. Crocodile stuck her head up and opened her enormous mouth and smiled. "Why, Katy Kangaroo, what can I do for you today?" "Please, Mrs. Crocodile, I am so sad," said Katy. "I have no pockets, and Freddie has to walk wherever we go, and he gets so tired." Oh dear, and she started to cry again. The crocodile began to cry too, and then she said, But what can I do?" "Well, can you tell me how to carry Freddie?" said Katy. "How do you carry little Catherine Crocodile?" "Oh, do please tell me." "Why, I carry her on my back, of course," said Mrs. Crocodile. She was so surprised that anyone shouldn't know that she forgot to cry anymore. There's Katy and Freddie talking to the crocodiles. So her crocodile rides on her back. Katy was pleased. She said, "Thank you." And as soon as she got to a good squatting down place, she squatted and said, "Now, Freddie, climb on my back. After this, it will be so simple, no trouble at all." But it wasn't simple. In the first place, Freddie could not crawl up onto her back because his knees stuck out. He couldn't hang on because his front legs were too short. And when he did manage to hang on for a few minutes and Katy gave a long hop, he fell off. Bump, bang, what a terrible thump. So Katy saw that she couldn't carry her baby on her back. So there she is, trying to get Freddie up on her back. And then she does, and oh no, there he goes, tumbling away. Katy and Freddie sat down again and thought. "I know. I'll ask Mrs. Monkey. I'm sure she can help me." So Katy and Freddie set off for the forest, and very soon they found Mrs. Monkey. She had her young son Joko with her, and Kathy Kangaroo hurried so to catch up with them that she was almost out of breath. But finally she managed to speak. "Please, Mrs. Monkey, how do you carry Joko?" "Why, in my arms, of course," said Mrs. Monkey. "How else would any sensible animal carry anything?" And she whisked away through the trees. "Oh dear," said Kathy, and a great big tear ran across her long nose. I can't carry anything in these short little arms. Oh dear. She wasn't any help at all. What are we going to do? And she just sat down and cried harder than ever. There she is, talking to the monkey who carries her baby in her arms. Poor Freddie. He hated to see his mother crying, so he put his paw to his head and thought and thought and thought. What about the lion? He asked when Katy stopped crying a little. They don't carry their children. The poor things walk just the way you do, said Katy. There's birds, said Freddie. How do they carry their babies? Birds? Said Katy. The bird mother pushes their children out of the nest and they squawk and squeak and flap their wings about. There's the lions. And there's the birds. Then all at once, Katy Kangaroo stopped crying and looked at Freddie. They do say that the owl knows almost everything, she said slowly. Well then, for goodness sake, let's ask him, said Freddie, and they found the owl asleep in an old dead tree. There's Mr. Owl. And he was cross because he didn't want to be woke up in the middle of the day. But when he saw that Katy was so sad, he came out, blinked and ruffled his feathers and said in a scratchy voice, Well, what is it? Speak up, and speak loudly. I'm deaf as a post. So Katy stood under the tree and screamed at him, I'm a mother kangaroo, and I haven't a pocket to carry my child in. How shall I carry him? What shall I do? Get a pocket, said the old owl, and went back to sleep again. Where? Cried Katy. Oh, please don't go back to sleep before you tell me where. How should I know? Said the owl. They sell that sort of thing in the city, I believe. Now kindly go away and let me sleep. The city? Said Katy, and looked at Freddie with big round eyes. Of course, we'll go to the city. So there they are talking to Mr. Owl. Katy was so excited that she almost left Freddie behind as she went leaping over bushes and hopping along the path, singing in a sort of a hummy way a little song she had just made up. Hippity, hoppity, flippity, floppity, wasn't it a pity I didn't know it was to the city I should go. She hopped so fast that Freddie couldn't hardly keep up, but at last they left the woods behind and came to the city. So there they are, hopping along. There were stores and houses and automobiles. The people all stared and stared at Katy, but she didn't notice it. She was looking for pockets, and she saw that almost everybody had them. And then, all at once, she could hardly believe it, a man who seemed to be all pockets. He was simply covered with pockets. Big pockets, little pockets, medium-sized pockets. So there they are in the city. And if you look right over here, this guy has lots of pockets. Katy went up to him and laid a paw on his arm. He was a little frightened, but Katy looked at him with her soft brown eyes and said, Please, dear kind man, where did you get all those pockets? These pockets, he said. You want to know where I got all these pockets? Why, they just came with the apron, of course. You mean you can really get something to put on with all those pockets already in it? Asked Katy. Sure you can, said the man. I keep my hammer and nails and tools in all my pockets, but I can get another apron, so I'll give you mine. And he took off his apron. So look at all those pockets. And dumped it upside down. Out fell a saw, wrench, nails, a hammer, a drill, and lots of other tools. Then the man shook the apron harder and turned it right side up again and hung it around Katy's neck and tied it behind her back. Katy was so pleased and excited and happy that she could barely speak. She just stood still and looked down at the pockets and smiled and smiled and smiled. By this time, a big crowd had gathered to see what Katy Kangaroo was doing. When they saw how pleased she was, they all smiled too. So there he is, dumping all the stuff out. And look at how happy Katy is. That was a very, very nice thing that man did, wasn't it? He was very kind and shared. At last, Katy was able to say thank you to the nice, kind man. And then what do you think she did? She popped Freddie into a very comfortable pocket, and she hippity-hopped home faster than ever before because, of course, she didn't have to wait for Freddie. So look, she's going faster than a train. And there's Freddie tucked in her pocket. And when she got home, what do you think she did? Well, she had so many pockets that she put Freddie in the biggest one of all. Then into the next largest, she put little Leonard Lion. Tom the tortoise just fit into another pocket. Sometimes she had a baby bird if its mother was busy at a worm hunt, and there was still room for a monkey, a skunk, a rabbit, a raccoon, a lizard, a squirrel, a possum, a turtle, a frog, and a snail. So look at all of them running to get in her pockets. So now all the animals like Katy's pockets better than any other pocket in the whole forest. And Katy Kangaroo is very happy because now she has more pockets than any mother kangaroo in the world. Look at how happy everyone is. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. I love that Katy got to take care of her little Freddie with her apron that had all of her pockets. What would you guys put in your pockets? I know that some of you like to put rocks and or stones and maybe some little critters like worms or frogs. Uncle Matt likes to put nails and nuts and bolts in his pockets. So I always have to make sure I check them before I put them into the laundry so I don't end up washing those things too. Well, I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you again soon for another story. We're going to do the Bearstein Bears Messy Room. I know some of you have a little problem with messy rooms, so we'll check that one out next. Okay, bye. I love you.